is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 47. I guess that's our Maxi plus our Seba episode. Maxi with that 37 works in really nicely right now. My name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined, as always, by my good buddy, on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud. We call him E, a.k.a. E. James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew, EC, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. the Fashionista. Shout out to the new glasses, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. E. Stonkel. E, another busy Austin FC weekend, and we'll get into the first team action here right off the rip. Not a great result. We called it a must-win. But beautiful Sunday. We're here talking about the weather again. And we actually got to enjoy it together out at the Austin FC 2 match tonight. So we'll talk about that as well. After that victory here on Sunday from our new favorite team, new best friends. How are you feeling, my friend?
Feeling much better than I was last night. That's for sure. Was great to see the FC2 team. And seriously, for the people who have not been out there, you gotta go. It is awesome. $15 pitchers of beer.
I think the Modelo we got was $14
to $17 for a pitcher.
The price of a tall boy Michelob at Q2, you can get a pitcher of beer.
Yeah, and it's always it. I mean, I've been 3 times now, 2 times, but every time I've been, there's it's a packed house and it's really fun. So it can put you in a good place after an Austin FC loss. For sure.
And it's very, I know we talked about this before. It's very homey. Everybody's there. I mean, we were walking around, you see Sophie Jeffel was there. John Gallagher was there, right? You see these faces and they're just hanging out.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's a cool vibe, like you said. And we'll talk a little bit more about that game here in a little bit, but let's talk about the first team. As much as I can't say I want to right now, but the average analysis must go on. So let's dive into it. Lineup came out. I think one of the big questions at this point is, which way is Josh leaning at the 9? And it was Maxi Urruti again. But then we saw pretty much, I think, the same lineup outside of course, John Kolmanich, which I guess we didn't touch on Wednesday because I think this news came out Thursday. I think it was that John Kolmanich, tore his ACL in training last week. So, of course, out for the season. So you did see Nick Lima back in the lineup at right back and Johnny G shifting over to the left side. So I think that was pretty much expected. Either it was Johnny going back or you're going to see Adam Lundqvist start there. Lundqvist was on the bench next to Valencia, Jossie, Ethan Finley, Hector in there, of course, Bersano, the backup keeper, Rodney Redis, Will Bruin, and Sophie Jeffel. What was your reaction to the lineup? I think this is exactly what you said on Wednesday's preview. I think you called for Maxi again, but did you call for Jossie?
Yeah, wanted G. What I said, I wouldn't be surprised either way. Neither of those dudes have deserved to hold on to the starting role.
Right. Neither have locked it down, right?
What's that?
Neither have locked it down, for sure.
Yeah. To hold on to it, to be the definitive guy that we go to. So I wasn't too surprised with Maxi there. Just trying to get some action up front. But yeah, what I expected.
Well, I guess we can just go ahead and get into it because there's a lot to talk about from last night, and a lot to talk about, I think, just in terms of where we go from here, because Jean's injury was not the only one we come out of last night's game with. Diego Fagundes also going down. We can discuss that here in a little bit. I thought kind of similar to the Colorado match at home. I thought we came out on the front foot again, threatening. Obviously, against Colorado, we found the back of the net with the Seba to Johnny goal there in the 5th minute. But you look at the game flow chart, right? The momentum on some of these sites, that certainly plays out in those where Austin, kind of the first, 20, 25 minutes, creating chances. Second minute, Driussi takes a shot off a long throw, which was actually I think Leo got his head to it and Johnny was going to try to shoot it, but Seba just kind of got there first. And that was not the only time on the night where I think multiple Austin FC players were anxious to get a shot off or try to make that be the one to make the play in the box. Seba gets to it. It actually hits the arm of a Vancouver defender, but on the replay, he's completely tucked into the side of his body. So no call there, no review. But Driussi getting a foot to it 2 minutes in, we like to see it, testing that Vancouver defense early.
Yeah. And we said on the last pod, we'd love an early one and kind of just get free and get rolling. And the story of the season so far, close but no cigar. There you go.
I guess there's never really any time where we would turn our nose up at an early one, right? But it certainly feels like we need one of these days to just get this thing rolling. 7th minute, Simon Betcher, who I believe, and I'm not going to fact check myself right now, but I believe I heard on Extra Time was their leading scorer for their next pro team last year. I think he's sitting on 3 goals so far this season. I believe we said that on the preview on Wednesday, leading Vancouver coming into this one. He gets in behind on the right in the 7th minute and cuts it back to Brian White. I think those guys kind of working well together.
They did
here early in the season and last night. White takes the shot. It's not a lot of power behind it, kind of on the ground, and Stuver kind of easily scoops it up. But that was really the first time I thought Vancouver was threatening. 4 minutes later, Ring kind of goes over the top into the box. We saw, I thought, a lot more ambition from Austin, kind of all across that defensive half. For better or worse, I think some people would say, we wish we could progress the ball more through the midfield. But if we're having to break lines 2 at a time like that, having Seba Driussi on the end of it is a pretty good option. And he brings this one down in the box. And he got a shot off that was deflected out for a corner. Kind of a nifty move to even create the space to get that shot off. And then on that ensuing corner, Diego fires it all the way from the left to the right, and Driussi is over there. It finds his head. He heads it right across the face of goal. And then on that left post, the back post, Ring and Urruti kind of converge. Urruti kind of tries to do this flying scissor kick to get it into the net, and Ring comes in with his head, but I think he sees Urruti out of the corner of his eye, and neither of them really connect with it, and it hits the post and goes out. So again, we're being threatening, but just nobody has the steady hand or the angle or whatever you want to call it. Nobody can finish right now.
Yeah, we just can't score.
And 2 minutes later, Fagundes again over the top to Driussi in the box. That ended up getting headed out for a throw, but on that throw, Leo gets his head to it. There's calls for a handball there. Even I think Kobe Jones on the broadcast with Adrian Healy said, we could maybe take a little look at that. They don't go to the monitor. I don't even think I remember seeing the head official put his hand to his ear. I don't even think they were calling down to him. But Rigoni ends up that ball after the maybe handball falls to Rigoni kind of in the 6, and he pokes it and it goes right to Takaoka. So again, another chance, but nobody can put it away. 19th minute, sustained possession by Austin, which we had a lot of last night that I felt again, didn't go anywhere, especially in that second half after the Fagundes injury. I thought that's where it kind of crumbled for us.
Yeah.
But on this occasion, 19th minute, Galley switches the play left to right to Rigoni. Rigoni's got plenty of time to pick out his target in the box, and he finds Maxi right in the near the spot. And Maxi kind of has that kind of instinctual flick that he scored half of his goals on. I felt in the box last year off those crosses. And this one just again goes right at Takaoka, but I thought that was I don't think I can sit here and say anybody in the attacking half had a good game last night for Austin. But there were multiple occasions where Rigoni created something dangerous. So I thought, while I won't say he played well, I thought he played better than he did last game that we saw him at home against Colorado, where I thought that was one of his worst games. And certainly he didn't do anything against LA either. Hardly anybody did. But again, like through this first 20 minutes, I'm sitting there in the north end thinking we're playing better. We're more threatening. We're seeing it seemed like targeting Seba in dangerous areas, trying to get him the ball, let him create. And I think just kind of let the gravity of him as a player do its job. How did you feel after that first 20? Because again, I think similar to Colorado and maybe and LAFC as well, like the first half hours really are where we looked our best.
I mean, I was just feeling like, okay, we're right here. Like, again, just at this point, I don't know what to call it. Expecting a goal, expecting that one of these chances is going to go in for us, and we're going to have a nice finish and a nice strike, and like because they should be going in at this point. Like we're just like you said, we've gone through 3 or 4 shots now, and they've all basically gone right to the keeper, or we've had some miscalculation and we're in the wrong place. But these start to become cumulative for this team. And I think that's why you see us in the second half either fall off a little bit because we just get tighter and tighter. And I know they're exhausted of not being able to put any points on the board. So with these chances, we scored them last year. That's basically what it is. We scored them last year, and this year we're just not.
21st minute, Julian Gressel gets free on the right, blasts a shot at Stuver, and he blocks it. But there was so much velocity on that shot, it kind of careens back out kind of at the top of the box, maybe like 30 yards. And Vancouver ends up getting back on it, and they draw a foul at the top of the box. The Austin players were not super happy with it. And that kind of, to me, started the ball rolling to where the officials started to lose control of this game. Both with the way he was calling it, the cards he was handing out. I mean, I guess we can get to that in a second. That free kick ended up being Gressel taking a shot, looking for that top right corner, and certainly went for power. Luckily for us, it was wide right. I guess we can jump to the 40th minute here because this is for sure when I thought things started to go sideways. Certainly the fans wearing Verde and black started to think that this referee is against us, or at the very least, not doing a very good job. Maxi, it looked like he got cleated near the box, going for a loose ball, and Seba goes up and gets right in the official's face as play is continuing, and as he is complaining, and I think just rightfully so, as the captain making his case for what I thought was a pretty obvious foul at the time. And on the rewatch, the replay did not do anything to dissuade me from being strong in the stance that was a really bad missed call. Vancouver, while Driussi's complaining, gets on the ball. He notices that Gressel is about to receive a pass next to him and totally just like, I mean, it's shoulder to shoulder, but it was absolutely just a take foul. Yeah. And the combination of that and Driussi getting in the official's face, the official gives Seba a yellow. And on the replay, I didn't see this at the stadium. As he's holding up the yellow, goes like this, saying like, yeah, it's for the talking, not necessarily for the foul. 2 more yellows for Vancouver after that, kind of in quick succession. The 42nd minute yellow to Brian White was absolutely a makeup yellow card. But it's just like, man, and I know officials aren't perfect. They're human too, but like get it right the first time. And you don't have, I mean, the last 5-7 minutes of the half was a shit show, I thought, from an officiating standpoint.
Yeah. And we were frustrated and kind of let the ref have it a little bit too. But yeah, he definitely lost control of this game. And this was right around that point where it started to devolve into something he couldn't really control.
Well, and Maxi, I mean, our guy has a flair for the theatrics, right? And so like he uses this opportunity for sure to get the crowd like extra riled up. Like every bad call after that for the rest of the half, he's like encouraging the crowd, like, let them hear it. And we did. I'm more than happy to oblige when he asks us to, let him know. But just again, the visible frustration showing through when it feels like we get past that first half hour. We are on the front foot. We have more chances. We certainly have more expected goals and a lot more depending on where you look. That Apple XG model is garbage, in my opinion. 45th minute, though, here's like near disaster and just a really, like, lack of a better term, just a really stylish play here by Stuver. He makes himself look good. Gallagher, it's his turn to make the back pass, right? I think it was a header that he doesn't quite get enough juice on it. I think Leo stops because he thinks it's going to make it all the way back to Stuver. Stuver can't quite get there. So I think it was Betcher who ended up running onto it, tried to chip Stuver, and Stuver just with his left hand swipes it like JaVale McGee style. I don't know. I went to JaVale. Maybe I should go to Bill Russell or somebody better. But it was a really impressive swipe, and Betcher I think made it easier on him by not getting a good chip off. But Stuver, man, I mean, he is cool. By far, I know Johnny has the goals and has continued to play all over this back line and everything that he brings. But I think Stuver at this point, especially after the last 3 weeks, is hands down the team, the most important player so far this season. And this is this is just the first half of his heroics last night.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, where would we be right now if it were not for him?
First minute of stoppage time, Dani draws a foul, and then that second yellow comes on Andres Cubas, excuse me. And this is, I don't know, 10 yards outside the 18 for Austin, and Rigoni and Diego line up over it, and we both looked to each other and agreed, do not shoot this.
Yeah.
And I think we also agreed they're definitely shooting this. Rigoni fakes at it. Diego steps up and has a go. And again, Diego is not just, I think, our best free kick taker in terms of putting it on net and the threat to score a goal off a free kick. He's one of the more underrated free kick takers, I think, statistically in the league over the last few years. Doesn't have as many opportunities as some of the more prominent names in that regard. So I understand it. I just thought we could maybe do better there. It just seemed like it was a little bit far outside of his range. Takaoka was right there, even if that ball was on frame.
Yeah, it was a bold take. And I mean, I don't know. I can't really fault him. We're trying anything to score at this point. I don't know if we, who knows if we could have gotten a better look off of a cross coming in from him or something. So, but it was definitely, you would need a absolutely perfect strike and then probably a little luck.
Yeah.
To get that.
You need the goalie to not be ready for it at all. Yeah. And that's what's the scouting report on Austin free kicks? It's Diego's trying to shoot if he's in range. Yeah. Right. So I don't know. It just seemed like if you and I know that it's coming, I think Vancouver knows it's coming as well. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
I kind of noted the massive difference in XG between depending on where you look. Just as an example, I took the shot at Apple's XG model there. At the half, they had us at 1.56 XG. If you look at FOTMob, we have 0.94 for the entire match. So I don't know what the difference in these algorithms are, but somebody is wrong. And it really feels like it was Apple. I
mean, yeah. Trying to get
FB ref, by the way, 0.96 for the match. So
0.96.
Yeah. And that feels right to me.
That feels about right. I was going to say that feels about right. I can't really complain with that.
I mean, outside of the Urruti and Ring miss at the back post in the first half, we didn't really have any other clear chances, at least that weren't just right at the keeper.
Yeah, I totally agree. You told me we were going up to the FC2 game, and you told me how many shots we had, and I was like, I didn't even believe you. I was like, really? Because I just felt like we never tested that keeper and tried him.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Pereira shot, which comes up later in the second half, but first up, 50th minute, Owen Wolff intercepts a pass in the Vancouver half, which first time, and I think maybe last time we'll say his name tonight, because of course, we're going to bat for him last week, arguing with people about, are we really trying to bench him? What's the reasoning? And I shout out to the people that did, bring in some logic and some stats and some reasoning behind their take in that regard. One of his better plays of the night, steps in front of the pass, and then gets it off to Rigoni very quickly, who was in the middle of the pitch. And then Rigoni sets up Diego, I thought, with a really nice little through ball out there to the left. Diego's first touch, I think, maybe betrayed him a little bit. But even then, I thought the angle that he had, like 2022 Diego, I feel like he buries it. And maybe it's not fair to say 2022 Diego. Maybe it's just 2022 in general. He buries that. Yeah. But that one also goes right at Takaoka. And that was probably our second best chance of the night. And again, that's another time where Rigoni created a dangerous chance. He put it right, I think, where I don't know how much better he could have set Diego up there. And so, again, it's not great. It doesn't produce an assist, but he at least showed those flashes where I don't think he was setting guys up like that the last two matches.
I think that's fair.
Well, and especially now with what happens a few minutes later, he's going to keep playing. He ain't seeing
that. Strap in, y'all.
3 minutes later, Austin has a corner, and after the corner, Vancouver's progressing down the field, and Diego comes up lane. He goes down right around midfield. Austin wins the ball back. Johnny G puts it out. Training staff comes out on the field, and Diego groin injury. We can talk, I guess, a little bit more about that here in a minute. Let's finish up the end of this game. There's not a ton else that happens here. Finley comes in for Diego here, though, and Rigoni shifts over to the left, which I think is what I would like to see going forward if that's the pairing, because I think we know Finley is better on the right. At this point, 4 minutes later, great Gallagher run down the left and finds space. Like, he just beats two defenders, finds space, takes a shot, and gets very clearly deflected out for a corner, and the official gives a goal kick. And then again, Austin players rushing the official, which, like we were talking about today, kind of just joking, like, it is crazy in soccer how much, I don't say like abuse these officials take, but like the mass of players that are able to get in the face of a soccer official compared to some other sports. But like in basketball, man, you look at an official wrong, they're gonna tee you up.
Yeah, no, it's
like
abuse,
we've got guys running 15 yards to get up in his face, and
getting cursed out in 4 different languages.
Look, I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. I'm just saying it's different for us. It's different for us.
It is wild.
61st minute, Vancouver gets loose on a counter with a 3-on-2. Gressel sets up Brian White, and then Brian White just cuts back and like leaves Ring in the dust. Kind of made him look his age, I think. And then Stuver, I think this was the other fantastic save on the night. Kind of one-on-one with Brian White there. Keeps it 0-0. By the way, we're up to 1.83 XG now from the Apple model at this point. So, yeah.
Maybe they'll give us a goal, too.
Right? 68th minute, Nick Lima gets a yellow. And then Pedro Vite comes in for Simon Betcher. So his night was done. 70th minute, Verdissimo is in the north end trying to start the wave. And I have in my notes here, Zach is livid. And that's accurate because I hate the wave.
Yeah, if people don't know, you despise the wave, even happy waves. Like,
yeah, well, and so like, and I can tolerate a happy wave.
You can tolerate it, but you dislike that.
Man, we've got 20 minutes to go in this game, and like already our crowd, I feel like outside of the South End, the crowd has been poor the last 2 home games. And I don't know if it's a change in the demographics where we've got more like newbies coming in who aren't super familiar with the environment that we had last year. And maybe I'm holding the rest of the stadium to a higher standard because of how electric it was in there almost every match last year. And like, just even in the North End, like there's always people following along with the chants.
Yeah.
People standing up at the appropriate time. So, I mean, hell, dude, some games, I know some games, our entire section stood the full 90 last year.
Oh, yeah.
In big games.
For sure. I mean, it's been a huge change.
And it's the opposite right now.
Yeah. And that's another thing that happens, especially with these home games and like the missing of these chances, is that we start to groan. The fan, we get taken out of it. And again, like you said, last year, the electricity in that stadium was part of the reason why it was such a bitch to come in here and play us. But yeah, I mean, I like I said, I don't know when I said it, but I said it before. It's just like there's times now where I'm like, all right, I got to sit down, man. Like, I don't want to be a jerk.
Yeah, the one person standing up and like we've got, behind us, who knows who's new, and like
we did that. We did do that the first year, 21. We stood the entire every game. We stood.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
and it definitely caused some issues.
Sure,
altercations.
People weren't with it yet. Yeah. Well, and I think
we made more enemies than friends, and then we switched to a more progressive, more nice brand.
Yeah, sure.
And
well, hopefully we don't have to switch back, because now that we're losing, now maybe we just are grouchy again. I'll admit, I sat down after the 5th Dallas goal in 2021. I had to.
That's fair.
Hopefully never again. All right, let's get back into it. Just the Verdissimo, look, I appreciate your effort. No wave in the north end, please, unless we have a lead. Preferably a 2-goal lead.
Say it
but
in
like
Spanish.
come on. Look, we already got enough problems.
Yeah.
We're gonna distract the fans even more with the wave. Come on, man. Let us sit in our sorrow and rage and frustration.
If we were down 2-0 and he did that, would you get into a physical altercation with him?
No, because he would pin me so easy.
Yeah, but still.
I would get into a.
You think he's a real wrestler?
I actually think he does like the. I think he does like the.
Yeah.
I think he does.
Okay, that's pretty.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe we get Verdissimo on for an interview and we can talk about the, not doing
you guys
the way
down.
Yeah.
We'll sit both of you down.
We'll have a little powwow.
Moderate.
Yeah.
All right, back to the.
We can promote his next wrestling match.
Well,
I don't know
if you can confirm that.
We'll look into it. Okay, we'll get our best researchers on it.
That's right.
73rd minute, wave has ceased, thankfully. Zardes in for Maxi, Redis in for Rigoni. 80th minute, Dahome comes in for Gald. Noticeable lack of plays to talk about here. I will note that Adrian Healy, as now the neutral commentator, right, for Apple TV, is no longer, when he's doing these games, is no longer the local broadcast, so you can say maybe some things that are on your mind. And one thing he said right before Owen Wolf gets subbed out in the 84th minute for Sophie Jeffel, he said Owen Wolf, he had a bad touch in the offensive half, and Healy commented on the broadcast like, I don't know what he's done tonight to still be out there. And as much as I've been really happy with what Owen's done this year, I can't say I disagree with him last night.
He didn't have a good game. I can't disagree with him either. And that's fair. That's fine. He didn't play well.
Yeah. We had a lot of the ball here at the end of the second half, but a lot of it in the horseshoe of sadness. 86th minute, there was another sustained possession, and we actually get the build up here. And Dani kind of finishes it off himself, finds some space outside the box, takes a shot, fires it right at Takaoka, and like he puts it over the crossbar for a corner. But that's the type of shot that, man, when Dani gets free 4 or 5 yards outside the box, I want to see more of that.
Please. Yeah, sign me up too. Subscribe.
90th minute, Dani again in the mix, looking forward, hits Redis. Vancouver defender gets ahead to it, but then Seba finds the loose ball, and so we've got a 5-on-5 going towards Takaoka, and Seba just decides to pull up for 3 and doesn't get a ton of power on it, kind of dribbles, harmless shot to Takaoka. First minute of stoppage time, nice Redis run down the left. He gets a dangerous cross in, and then it's set up for Seba to volley it out of the air. How many times have we seen him do this? Like even back, like this, very reminiscent in terms of the way he hit the goal. I think it was the second goal against Violette, or maybe the first. I don't remember which one. That we don't need to talk more about that. But yeah, he mishits it, and then Zardes kind of like is there for almost a follow up, but he can't connect on that either. Our old buddy Sebastian Berhalter enters in the 5th minute of stoppage time for Ali Ahmed, and then the 6th minute of stoppage time, another solid Redis cross. Finds Zardes for the header, but he's just kind of a little bit far away from net. Can't like get enough power on it from that distance to get it past the keeper. So 0-0 draw. I believe the first draw for Austin FC since June 27th, 2021 at home against Columbus Crew. That was our second ever home match. So it has been a long time since we had a 0-0 draw. And I guess like if I'm going to put a positive spin on the result, it's we got a point and a clean sheet. We can't score right now, but at least we didn't let them score. So that's about all the positives I think I have to talk about last night. 18 shots to 13 in favor of Austin. So that's another positive. I think it's the first time we've outshot our opponents since week 1, the loss against St. Louis. Although they did outshoot us in terms of shots on target. That was 9-8 in favor of the Whitecaps. XG from FOTMob 0.94 for Austin, 0.83 for Vancouver. And that's the model I'm going with today, because I think that fits my narrative more than the Apple one. So
for sure.
Any thoughts for you on that before we kind of talk about where we go from here?
Thoughts on just the entirety of that game?
Yeah, I mean, anything. I guess we'll dive into Diego next and what we do now, but anything else just, I guess, from that match before we kind of put it in the past?
Just, again, uninspired after a decent start to the game. Dani seemed to be the only guy who really brought it. And we just have not been able to get like 2-3 guys at the same time bringing it, humming, playing well. And I mean, neither of these two teams deserve to win that game, really. We can point to solid chances and, outshooting them, but, we should beat that team. Just
for sure.
Plain and simple. I guess my only positive take on it at this point is that, 1 point. And if we can walk away from these, we said if we could walk away from these next 3 games after LAFC with 7 points or 6 points, something along those lines, we'd feel.
I think we said 6 was acceptable. 7, we're feeling pretty good.
So, all the coaches said it. Finley said it after. We just have to score, and there's really we can't restart. We just got to keep going forward.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you brought up Dani. That was another bright spot, I think. I thought he was everywhere. Obviously, we're calling on him more this season defensively, especially with Julio out right now. And on a night where Owen doesn't do much, Dani stepped up, I thought, even more, and he obviously contributed a ton, I thought, to the clean sheet, and especially controlling the ball in that second half. I also thought there was a lot, and this is, I think, probably a very surface level, very elementary thing to realize when you're trying to watch soccer from any sort of analytical standpoint, but I thought the speed with which he recognized when he needed to cover for Leo or Alex or either of the fullbacks last night, but specifically what I saw a couple times was him covering for the center backs. He was there, on a dime and just really, I thought, on point last night, which we've said a lot about Dani this season. So hopefully that continues.
Yeah, he was sharp.
All right, let's no Diego, groin injury. I think minimum, as somebody who you've said on the podcast before, I can struggle with the groinals sometimes.
The groinals is a tender region.
I think minimum 6 weeks. I think worst case scenario season. Anywhere in between there, I'm not surprised. And obviously we tried, anything closer to that 6-week timetable is the best. But I don't know, man. Like, he was in some serious pain, it looked like.
Yeah. No,
because that's a tough motherfucker, man. Like, he is.
Yeah, no, he's injured. He's injured bad.
Deep cut right there. Um,
I mean, so basically, it's just time to start coming to the realizations of what's about to happen with this club, and we have to all be ready to accept it. Rigoni, I mean, if Diego doesn't get hurt in this game and Rigoni didn't perform again, I was, like I said, even last week, I thought it was okay if he did not get the start.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been producing.
Yeah.
Just, it is what it is. Like, at this point, we could even bench fucking Seba.
Well,
like, we wouldn't do it, obviously, but like,
right.
nobody is performing to the level that they expect of themselves, even.
Right.
And we're just in a really bad funk. So, we just got to come to the realization here that Rigoni's going to play a lot now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we have no choice.
Yeah. Redis is going to play as well. And I mean, you had your interesting tinfoil kind of tidbit about.
Yeah, let me put the tinfoil hat on real quick.
Go ahead. Looks good on you.
And I don't think this is far-fetched enough to be like, oh, like I'm really out there with this one.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a 50-50. I think CJ Fodre is called up to the first team this week. I think that he was going to be on the first team regardless coming into training camp, and we know about the quad injury that took his preseason away from him. And I think there was a clear plan to bring him back through FC2. We saw him come off the bench, I believe, those first 2 games and just kind of ramp up to now started the previous 2 games this past week against Tacoma and against North Texas. And then off the bench tonight, played like the last 10 minutes. I think what I said to you was like, if he doesn't play at all tonight, I'm guaranteeing that he's going to be with the first team this week. So he played 10 minutes. We'll amend the conspiracy theory here. We just had to keep him fresh, get him a little sweat there, and take him on to LA next week. Because I mean, look, like you said, it's Redis. Like maybe Finley is just the very obvious answer for who's going to start next week, right? But if Diego's out 6 weeks, like I guess let's try to talk through all the options here, right? CJ being called up, I think, is not a surprise regardless. Him getting a start or getting any sort of meaningful minutes right now would surprise me as much as I just want, as like a fan, I want to see CJ out there. I want to see him come and be this wonder kid that I'm looking at Duncan McGuire in Orlando, who I think was the 6th overall pick, scoring multiple goals already for that team, including the winner this weekend. Like I want that type of story, that type of road for CJ. But I think trying to be a little bit rational about it, that's not how it's going to play out, right? I think he could get some time in these next few games, but it's not going to be let's throw him right in.
For sure.
And so I guess let's talk about Rodney and Finley, because I was saying last night, not exactly sober, that I might want Rodney Redis to start over Ethan Finley. So then we could have Ethan Finley's juice off the bench for either Redis or Rigoni. I don't know. I honestly don't know if I feel that way today. I'm not convinced either way, because I think Rodney Redis, we have a 2+ year sample size of him being bad, right? Or just not contributing to this first team. But I think in the limited minutes that he's got so far this season, he certainly hasn't done anything to make me roll my eyes and say, oh, there's classic Rodney. And I thought he created multiple chances down the end last night. So I think I don't think I would be upset if I see him in the 11 next week against the Galaxy. As upset as I would be 6 months ago seeing something like that. It just wouldn't be shocking. How do you feel about those two guys? Who do you think starts? Who do you want? How do you see this playing out going forward?
I mean, I thought about what you were saying there in regard to having Redis start and then Finley off the bench to give us a little punch. And I kind of get that from 2 different standpoints. Putting Rodney with the first 11 obviously puts fresh, skilled players around him who can pick up some slack if he's not up to par. Although, again, I don't think he's been he definitely hasn't been our fucking worst player
For
this
sure.
season. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah.
by a long shot. So I could see that happening, but I don't know. I something about the fact that Finley is like a straight line runner and he gets out into the open field and he puts at least that type of like momentous pressure on a defense where it's like you have to account for the fact that this guy's going to go like he's going for a home run route. So I think we kind of need that somehow because we've just been trying so many different ways to score, and like we get a little cute on the sidelines. And what if we could just play some balls over the top here, which we kind of had been trying to like implement a little bit more. It seems like, but they did not come last night.
Yeah, we couldn't really get on the end of any of them outside of I think really that the one that Driussi pulled down early in the match. I think most of them, they just didn't find their way over the center backs. Like Blackman and Veselinovic, really, I thought they also did a good job. They also kept a clean sheet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were tough last night. What about
I do think Finley starts.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that is, I think, pretty clearly the most probable thing.
Yeah.
But it certainly shows... It makes me feel some type of way that I'm sitting here saying, yeah, I'd be okay with Rodney Redis starting against the LA Galaxy, team that we've never beat.
Yeah.
Man. I think, okay, so the only other part, I think, in terms of how we could fill this gap that we're going to have with Diego now, one of them, I mean, dude, okay. We talked about a couple of weeks ago how the Julio Cascante injury was the worst injury we've ever taken as a club.
Yeah.
I think we've had 1, 2, and 3 in the last 6 weeks now with Kolmanich, with Julio, and now with Diego. I mean, it's
we said it last year too. We said we were fortunate with the injury bug, really.
I mean, we're just fucking regressing because we had the luck last year, and now we're having some bad luck. I do think, I mean, when the Cecilio shit went down last year, and all of a sudden we're short on the wing. Owen Wolf started multiple games and was fairly solid out there, out of position. So if we're not happy with him in the defensive midfield, and again, we are fine with him at this point, but there's certainly a significant segment of the fan base that would love to see somebody else get a chance there. I think maybe he's an option that we push out to the right wing because we've got, and this doesn't make me feel great either, we've got Johan Valencia that can play there. Again, that's pretty vanilla in the midfield so far in his Austin FC tenure. Certainly not inspiring. But Sophie Jeffel could also play that spot. And I think that's also, he, in his limited time, has been fine, right? At worst. And so maybe that's an option. And again, like the thing, I guess just kind of closing this out, we would have seen more Alex Ring in the midfield, I think, regardless already, if he wasn't having to play 90 minutes of center back every time out. So if, Diego's absence is going to extend past when Julio comes back and when we get Radovanovic. So I think we do see more Alex Ring as soon as that happens, playing in that defensive midfield. But for now, I think Owen Wolf moving up to that right wing is also an option. And then seeing Jeffel or Valencia slot in there doesn't seem like it's out of the question to me.
I think it's on the table, and I think it should be. Yeah. If you look at this roster, you look at those two kind of defensive mid spots, and that's where we have our most depth right now. So, trying to keep as many routine starters that we had last year on the field by pushing Owen to the right, throwing either Alex back there or Johan, like you said. Obviously, ramping up Radovanovic now becomes even more of a priority for this squad because we do got to get Alex out of that spot.
Yeah.
So I think that can be on the table for sure. And, we're going to have to throw a few different darts here to try to see what lands. It's not like we're operating full capacity right now anyway. So trying to find anything that can help this team score, I think just has to be on the table. Yeah. Like, we have to consider it.
Yeah.
So it's going to get interesting, and I do want to see CJ get pushed up. Like you said, I don't think he's obviously ready for meaningful minutes, in
Right.
these next 2 weeks here. But
If he comes in, do we I got no expectations for him. Just go out there and
he's going to play hard.
look. Yeah, and
He's
just
going
go
to
out
play.
there and look like a pro. Right.
He's going to fucking play hard. Just from seeing him at the Austin FC2 games, he is going to play hard. He enjoys playing, and fuck, man, just having anybody who has been away from the toxicity that has in this team to start this season could be just a breath of fresh air that we need. Having him on the left, especially with that left-footed strike, now that Komanic is obviously gone, I think could be a good thing for this squad. I just don't know how far away he is from being able to be put into these situations. But I mean,
man was having success at the USL level 2 seasons ago, right? Or a year and a half ago, whenever it was. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, you talked about the center backs, right? So did Coach Wolf after the game in the press conference. As I think the most positive thing, or again, if we're just looking forward, like this is the good takeaway from what Coach had to say after the game last night. For what it's worth, Radovanovic, they call him Rado around the team. Julio expected to be a full go in training after the Galaxy match, so week after this one. And Coach also said the timeline for both to be probably available for game action is quote, maybe the beginning of May. So May 6th, we're on the road at Portland, a struggling Portland team, at least until last night.
So we take you.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like, 2.5, 3 weeks could maybe get both of those guys in there, for what kind of minutes that looks like when they're both ready, who knows? But just the bodies being available, obviously, would be huge.
The defense is the least of our worries.
Right. But then maybe it's a domino effect where you can get Alex Ring back into that defensive midfield, and Owen Wolf goes back to the wing. And even though he's out of position, he just brings that the youth and the athleticism that he has continues to help us, or is that stopgap like it was last season?
Go
ahead.
I think I saw from people smarter than us.
Yeah, there's a lot of them
in the Ring Owen Wolf debate. That Ring provides those line breaking forward center passes at a more successful rate.
Yeah.
But he is also much more prone and exposed to a press from the other team, whereas Owen is not.
He can sustain that press, turn it over as much.
He's not turning it over. He's not playing super hot potato with it because he's got to get this young, this more athletic guy off of him who's chasing him all over the place. So, I mean, it's going to be a give and a take with what we're going to do.
Pros and cons to both options, right? There's pros and cons to both.
And I think when you look at the rest of the roster, the liability of having to start Rodney or play him 60, we can kind of mitigate that by pushing Owen out, accepting what happens when we lose him at that position and slotting one of these other guys in. But I mean, we're going to have to get creative, I
thought and maybe I'm just being a Josh Wolf defender here again. I thought the tactics changed a little bit last night. You see it in the results with the shots, like not just the number of shots, but 12 of those 18 were in the box. That's where we scored all our goals last year. And so getting back to that, again, I know we didn't score, but at least we're seeing the number of shots come up from the places where last year we wanted to take them. I think there was, again, Driussi, you look at the passing maps from last night and the player heat maps, and Driussi is doing more of the things he would do last year. And I think at this point in the season, it seems like he has a little bit more freedom when Gyasi Zardes isn't in there. So hopefully those guys are able to adjust more, obviously Gyasi to Seba. You need to learn how to play with the MVP runner-up from last year, not vice versa.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I think like maybe Wolf is just being forced into leaning into maybe a little bit more of what we did last year. And maybe Diego being out is going to force him to go completely back or even try something different that we haven't even seen yet. But I think as you continue to lose these pieces that you worked on through the preseason with this new tactics, the tactics aren't working and you're losing these key players. I think the changes are coming now just because I think coach's hand is just forced.
Yeah, out of necessity. I mean, looking at these next two games, Seba's going to have to win one of these games for us.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to. And it might be this road game versus the LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're not playing great, but like
they look better today, didn't they?
Yeah.
I know they didn't win.
Better today. Cheech is back.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they were up for that game for sure. I don't know how it'll be for us. But, he's going to have to win us one of these games.
Yeah,
just like
flat. I mean, he's gonna have to win us more than one game the rest of the way. But
and these next two for sure.
We need. I said it a week ago, right? Like I am on the if we're gonna get on all these other players, fine and fair, but also the guy who is one of the highest paid players in the league now. We don't know quite where he falls on that scale, but we know it's gonna be up there, and he hasn't produced. He hasn't produced.
I mean, fuck the highest paid. Fuck that argument. He's one of the best players in the league, and he hasn't produced.
You got to produce like it, right?
Yeah, he has to. Again, we could be getting 10 goals from Giassi and Maxi, and if he's not doing anything, we're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, I guess, and talking about, guys and how much they're paid, on the We Are Austin TV Twitter space last night, and shout out Hernan and those guys, like we were kind of hanging out, trying to get some of our frustrations off our chest. We went out there. We were talking with RB. We were talking with Vanilla Mexican out there.
Oh shit! Shout out Vanilla Mexican, man.
Yeah. And I think he did the Cap 10K this morning. So like, I mean, you and I, it's like sleeping in, lazy, Vanilla Mexican up and at him.
Love him.
But I mean, H was running the space extra long last night, and one of the things that one of the speakers said, and his name was Alan. So, and shout out to Alan for coming on the space and sharing what he did. This guy, Alan, said that he had spoken in the last week with one of the 5 owners, that are named in the ownership group, and, didn't name the owner, and of course, and good on you. But, some of this stuff was, I thought, just like, okay, the players who got extensions in the offseason asked for them, and now the owners are not happy that the players they paid aren't producing. It's like, that's shocking. But I thought one thing that he did mention was that last season the ownership group, the administration of the franchise, right, was frustrated with how Ring performed down the stretch of last season. And to me, that light bulb went off, because I've been saying, remember that Alex Ring was not great. Like a lot of us were bitching about him last year, just in terms of the fan base in general. And I think the first topic that we talked about after the Western Conference Final, right after the game, was what's our transition plan going forward from Alex Ring, because he is aging. And we weren't saying at the time, nor are we saying now, that he's not still a good player. Look at the fucking work he's putting in out of position right now. But just again, just because Alex Ring lost the captaincy and is now playing out of position, and Owen and all that, let's remember where we were a couple months ago with him. He wasn't at the top of our list. So what Alan said on the space was that they made the decision to take away the armband at the end of last season, and they were going to give it to Ruben. And this was, of course, before Ruben made the request to be released and go back home for his family. And so then you can't very well go, that makes sense. You can't just go give it back to Alex Ring at that point. So they kind of just dropped it on Seba. So again, these things that happen in the spaces, like when the dude came on 2-9 talking about Claudio a couple months ago, he had some insight, clearly is connected to people in the U.S. men's national team, particularly Weston McKennie, but not everything he said was true. Because he was more in camp Claudio, right? And so again, Alan, we don't know who you are, but it's hard to tell. And how many beers had Alan had last night? I don't know if he was drinking like me. That he's maybe he's saying some shit that maybe he's being a little there's a little bluster in there. I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. I went back and listened to it today, and
yeah.
Now we got owners chirping, and we got leaks from owners. Come on, man! Like we gotta tighten up at the top.
Yeah, we gotta tighten up everywhere.
Everywhere. One place we don't have to tighten up though, Austin FC 2. So let's talk a little bit about this game. I guess before we do, I will shout out our guy, Stephen Mackey. Might be listening in traffic right now. We appreciate you, sir. Appreciate the kind words and your listenership. Also, today, Sunday, the 16th, is the first anniversary of, the Legend of Pollo out there in DC last year. So we had the shirt on today. If you're going to wear the shirt any day, it's got to be April 16th. So, just good memories on a day when we're feeling a little bit down. And then Austin FC 2 certainly picked us up tonight, taking on, of course, St. Louis City 2, as you said on Wednesday's episode. The children, they avenge us, and avenge us they did. Starting lineup tonight, we saw Joe Hafferty get back in there. He was rotated out in the midweek match, so he's got the armband back in there on the right. Charlie Asensio stayed in there on the left. The Kip Sal pairing continues to do damage. So does Damian Loss in net. Jackson Valty back in there in the 11. Steve Louis-Jean, our boy, in there again. Valentin Noel, EJ Johnson, and Cristo Vela in the 11. And Alfonso Ocampo Chavez continues to start up top. First half, a couple chances for both teams. And I thought not just in the first half, but throughout the match, even though the Seattle keeper ended up letting in two, I thought, and his name, Christian Olivares and Damian Loss were fantastic tonight. I thought both of those keepers were great.
Yeah, their keeper prevented me from hitting the 4-0 nail on the head.
Yeah. He almost had an Nostradamus if he wasn't. Yeah. Oh, yeah, the kick save on the. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. And so was Damian. Damian was fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, he continued to be, I just think very exciting for us. Like,
no, this is a kid we should be excited about.
I think, man, like, and we have not got to see Matt Bersano yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm not just trying to discard Matt, but like in the Open Cup next month, if we're going to rotate and we want to sit Stuver, can we start Damian Loss in that game? Like, I think he might be the future, and that could be so far down the road that maybe he never ends up being our starter. But like, he has been so damn good so far in this next pro season.
Agree.
66th minute, David Rodriguez opens the scoring. Micah Burton actually is the one that sprung the counterattack. He was subbed on along with CJ Fodre later in the match. Bobasi came in. Alonso Ramirez came in. David Rodriguez obviously came in. So Micah springs the counterattack kind of off the St. Louis had a free kick, I think, right side on that set piece. And then on the Micah kind of lofted through ball there, AOC runs onto it, sets up David, and he chips the keeper and at the same time gets like sandwiched and fouled like crazy. And I feel like scores, so no foul. But I don't know, man. I thought the way he got taken out on that chip, like I was kind of surprised, especially the way that ref was handing out cards. I was surprised there wasn't a card shown to one of those defenders because they mauled him.
It was an and one.
Guy's out there playing with a broken hand already.
Yeah, it was an and one. He's the man. He's so good.
I mean, that's one. I think the two players right now for me that are signed to FC2 contracts that I wish we had on those first team contracts and loaned down are David and Valentin Noel. I think both of those guys, I would not mind having the option to bring those guys up at some point this year.
Yes.
But we don't because they're on FC2 contracts.
Yeah.
And then to cap off the night, like Austin pretty much last 30 minutes, I thought after we made those subs, controlled the game.
Beat their butts.
Yeah, and I think there was 3 first teamers out there for St. Louis. Only one, or I shouldn't say only one, it's an expansion team. One of them, 25, I forget the guy's name, but he had already had 2 caps for St. Louis City, the first team. And I thought he was clearly their best player outside of the keeper, maybe.
Yes.
But just to cap it off, 88th minute, off a great save. I'm not sure if this was the kick save we're talking about, but another great save by Olivares. Bobasi ends up getting back onto it. He plays Ocampo Chavez through on the right, and he has time to pick out Micah standing near the spot. And he strikes it towards goal, and like the defender on the line almost clears it off, but kind of mishits it, and it does go in. So doesn't matter, especially with the first team right now, right? Like we know it doesn't matter how it goes in. It's on the board. Micah Burton, his first professional goal. So I was very happy, as the diehards we are. I was very happy that we were in person for Micah's first professional goal, because that could be a big moment for the young man. He could have a great Austin FC career here, and we were there for the beginning.
I was thrilled just to be there for that.
Yeah, so congrats to him. Congrats to the team. Second shutout in a row, still undefeated, our Austin FC 2, sitting on 13 points through 5 games, a 10-3 goal differential. That +7 differential is the most in Next Pro. Their 13 points is leading Next Pro. I don't know what they call the supporters shield there, but whatever it is, Austin FC 2 is in first. So, greatest team in the world. On that. Greatest team in the world. Who knew?
That's right, baby.
They will also travel to LA Galaxy this week. So one of the 4 matches this season where first team and second team play on the road against the same opponent. And so we'll have that preview on Wednesday. Let's wrap it up quickly. Little spin around the league. Let's start with the rivals, Houston. Actually take the lead on Red Bulls out there in New York. One of 2 teams this week without their supporters group in protest. And Houston also takes the lead. They were without Hector Herrera, who picked up a red in the last match. And Red Bulls ends up equalizing, but Houston getting a point at Red Bull, I would imagine. Obviously, they would want the 3, but I think even before the match, without their captain, you would say 1 point on the road, a good result for them. So we hate to see that. And we hate to see Dallas winning 2-1 at home over RSL. I think that certainly expected, but you would like to see something crazy happen there.
Yeah.
And this is where it really took a turn for us. We'll recap the bets on Wednesday, but St. Louis, right off the rip, I think second, third minute, Jared Stroud gets a goal, 1 of 5. St. Louis City over Cincinnati. And Cincinnati, of course, after we made the picks on Wednesday, Brenner gets sold. So he'll be with the team till July, but he was out this week because of the signing. So definitely, takes it. That Cincy attack takes a hit. Lucho Acosta also didn't play. So 5-1 blowout. St. Louis City back on track. And speaking of blowout, Seattle takes the 1-0 lead at Providence Park over their rivals in Portland. Our guy on the best ball team, Evander, subs out, and Portland goes on to score 4 goals in 18 minutes. The fastest that Portland in their storied franchise history has scored 4 goals. And Evander got none of them. And, the money out of our wallet. You're welcome, DraftKings. And then checking on SKC, just to, I guess at least include a team in here that is down worse than us. Early red card, give up 3 goals at San Jose. SKC, I believe, still sitting on just 2 total goals scored, which matches now their total red cards on the year, also at 2. So it could be worse, my friends. It could be worse. And I guess I'll end with a little negativity here. 4 teams total in the league don't score on the week. Obviously, Austin and Vancouver, Montreal, and SKC. So the other 2 teams outside of our game that didn't score are the 2 worst teams in the league. So it might get worse before it gets better, man.
It might get worse.
Well, we will see how we're feeling midweek on the Wednesday pod. Here's a good thing. We'll be in person, in studio, Wednesday night. Second ever in-person podcast. Can't wait for that. Was a blast last time. So maybe that'll give us some good wooju, for the previews, for the score predictions, for best ball, for betting. Who knows? We need it somewhere in our lives. It can't just be all Austin FC too.
Facts.
All right, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in here on the North End Podcast, episode 47. If you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. You can hit the notification bell to know when a new live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this video, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End, which haven't been flowing lately. So hopefully 2 weeks from now, San Jose. I know we're bringing some newbies on that game, so hopefully we're humming along by then. You know, I don't know. We'll see.
Shit.
We'll see.
I had a newbie there last night. My buddy came through, and
that's true.
He's like, I don't think I'll ever go again. And I was like, I can't
well,
blame
good. He didn't bring us the good luck, so good.
Yeah, get out.
All right, before we drag ourselves down any further, let's get out of here. We'll be back on Wednesday. We appreciate you tuning in. He's E. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.